The way that you worded this is just so spot on and so real and so true. When mental illness is neat and easy to digest, when it's convenient, as you said, it's so much easier for people to accept that. But when mental illness is far messier, far more complicated, far more controversial, people don't know how to process that. A lot of people only think in terms of absolutes. A lot of people only think in terms of black and white. A lot of people think that the thing that they're seeing is always the thing that they're seeing. And a lot of times it is not. There's a lot of things to say about this situation because it is relatable. As someone who does come from a family with mental health issues and my own self, I had surgery a couple weeks ago and I'm still recovering from it even now, but my level of depression has been all over the place. I've been going through extremes of anger and sadness and just all of the things. And the reason I bring that up is because in the case with Bob, I think it was just a roller coaster of a lot of different things. This is not to say that, mental health excuses bigotry or terrible things. No one with any common sense would say that. But to pretend mental illness did not play a significant role into why he lived his last days or final days the way that he did would be naive and it would be disingenuous. Mental health is sometimes inconvenient and sometimes it's very dark and problematic and a roller coaster of different things. It is not this neat, clean, perfect, tightrope type of thing that people would like it to be. And as I've said so many times in so many videos on this account, people also love having a villain. People love having a villain. They love it. It makes them feel better about their own shitty life in a lot of ways. I think that was part of it as well. Bob was complicated, like most people. And I imagine for the members of My Chemical Romance, I'm sure they're processing this vastly different than the way that you and I and fans are processing this, because they got to know him as a person. They got to spend time with him. They got to make memories with him that were not necessarily just based in music or their careers. They got to eat with him and laugh with him and argue with him. And when you get to know somebody on that level, even when the relationship is so complicated, you mourn differently. You grieve differently. There are, I think he lost his mind in a lot of ways. I think he genuinely went insane. And I can relate to that as well. Especially during the pandemic. I've known several people who are very close to me who they literally went crazy during that time. The level of isolation, the level of depression, to just be alone that long is just not, it's not healthy for anybody. We need to learn how to understand that two things can be true at once. We need to understand that you can condemn bigotry and you can condemn quote unquote problematic things that someone has said. And in the same token, you can also say, but that person didn't deserve to die like that, to die alone like that, to be that isolated from people, to feel literally like there's nothing. And when you are in that depth of depression, when you are when you're in the darkness like that, it's very hard to see things from a clear perspective. And in the case of someone like him, of Bob, I believe in some ways that he doubled down on the hatred. I think there's part of Bob that felt like, hey, you guys want to say that I'm this and that? Fuck it. I'm going to say that I'm this then. Fuck it. And you double down. Like I said, I have people very close to me who have gone through that, where they felt very isolated. They felt very attacked. They've said a lot of crazy things. And so they just double down on it. Doesn't mean they necessarily mean it all the time either. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily coming from a genuine place of, this is how I feel about X, Y, and Z. But sometimes it's more of, I feel so alone and I feel so angry, and all I'm getting is negativity, so I'm just going to throw it right back at you. It's kind of an eye for an eye kind of mentality. Again, that doesn't excuse it. I think people need to sit down and start learning how to process and think about complicated people. And people need to learn how to hold multiple thoughts in one. Everything is not this or that. Some things are both and. And, again, I know this video is very long, and I highly doubt most of you make it to the end of this video. But I have a lot of thoughts on this. This is a very personal thing for me, because I can relate to this, because I've dealt with that my own self. So I do get it. And I imagine for him, those last moments, he probably just felt like, I've already made my bed, I've already made my bed, and this is what it is. But we, as a collective, as the so-called mental health matters people, you got to learn to start really honoring that. Because you can't say that in one breath and then dogpile a person in the same. A lot of you say mental health matters because it's trending, and you want the dopamine rush that comes along with that. A lot of you want to jump on bandwagons of different causes and movements that you actually don't really believe in. But again, you get the social brownie points for saying that you do. There's a lot of disingenuous behavior in the mental health space, just like there is in so many social movements that have happened over the last several years. Everyone who puts on a Black Lives Matter t-shirt doesn't mean they're actually a part of that. Everyone who says Me Too doesn't mean that they actually genuinely believe that. But again, people prefer black and white thinking. People prefer the thing that I am seeing is always the thing that I am seeing. And I'm here to tell you that sometimes it is not. To the band, I don't think that they really owe any of us an explanation. I don't think the band even needs to release a statement if they don't want to. I think, again, a lot of times as fans, we look at things as like, well, they need to say something. It's like, again, this was a friend. This was something that goes beyond music. This is something that goes beyond a career thing or caring about what some random people said on Twitter. This is someone they genuinely spend time with, and someone that I'm sure they've had a roller coaster relationship with. And, I have compassion for that, and I have empathy for that. So I don't know. I don't know how to end this video, but I will say that this is, I feel like this is a bigger issue than Bob. I think this is something that we gotta start really thinking, how do we want to approach mental health? How do we want to approach this movement moving forward? Because if this is going to be this dogpiling thing, I'm not really interested in it, to be quite frank.